Everybody, welcome to the Blumberg Digital monthly webinar. And this is the webinar for March. So happy 2024, happy March. What we're going to be doing today is we've got a special guest here, Sabri Blumberg. She's the Deputy Chief Operating Officer at MGE, is responsible for the development of all the programs here for all the MGE clients, oversees those programs, and has done so for a number of years. So welcome.
You're welcome.
Good. One of the big things right now is people are starting to see slight change in just how things are going economically.
Yeah.
Just current scene, less patients showing up, less phone calls. We see it from a marketing perspective.
I see less approvals.
Less
too.
approvals
Yeah.
on credit. We're seeing
Yeah.
lower limits. So the thing that you talked about last year,
Yes.
which would probably be happening around the second quarter of
Yes.
this year, starting to rear its ugly head.
Yes, it was very predictable that this was going to happen. And it's nothing to be worried about, right? Because these ebbs and flows happen in the economy and they're very predictable and they happen and you just prepare for them and you sail right through them and it goes back to normal again.
So let's talk about the preparation point.
Yeah.
So we've been telling our clients to predict for that, up your marketing budget, expand your marketing channels.
Yes.
We've told them to bulletproof their inflow lines. So make sure that you've got all your, answering the phone call protocols in place, that your team is trained, that they're drilled, different scenarios, that you've got your primary person who takes incoming phone calls and they're the best. You got a secondary and a tertiary person. So we've been talking about that DDS success and the phone skills.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I love the revision with Jeff Santone and all he's added is amazing. Yeah. Training, drilling, up marketing budget, expand your marketing channels. That said, we are seeing some of our clients, not necessarily Blumberg Digital clients, but we're seeing a number of clients saying, my new patients are stagnant. I'm going to cut my marketing or change my marketing. Even a couple of Blumberg Digital clients say, listen, it's scaring me. My new patient's kind of leveling off, and I want to stop this campaign because I don't feel that it's working, or I want to try something new. Is this the time to try something new? Is this the time to stop marketing?
It's something interesting you bring up, and I can get into answering that question in just a second, right?
Yeah.
But the first thing I want to point out is that the new patient statistic of a practice does not belong to the marketing company. Right? It's an internal statistic that belongs to somebody in the practice. And if the only new patients you're getting, or if your great hope for controlling your new patients is your marketing company, right there, you're screwed, right? Because you're giving that control to an outside company that you don't control.
Right.
Yes, you need to do marketing, but the purpose of a marketing company is to provide leads. It's not to get you new patients. The new patients are the job internally of somebody in the practice that needs to wear that hat.
Right.
And just like any other hat in the organization, it needs to be worn by somebody that's competent and that's putting time into it and that's creating the post and that's controlling that post. When external marketing is what you're relying on predominantly to control your new patients, when you go through a time period like we're moving in right now, you're always going to be in trouble. And to me, it's just not a good thing. I would never leave something that's that integral to a practice or to a business to a company.
Right.
And it's not even their job, right? Now, you want them to get you new patients for sure, but any marketing company you're going to talk to, the only thing they can do is give you leads.
Right.
Yes, you need to be watching campaigns, right? You need to make sure that your campaigns are working. But I find a shame is that when somebody's worked with a marketing company that has produced for them, then they switch because it's not producing that much anymore. Now, understand, whenever you switch, you're starting from scratch.
Right.
It's much easier to just fix whatever it is. And it's always going to have some screw ups. That's normal.
Right.
Right.
Shake the tree a bit.
Yeah, shake the tree, like switch up your campaign a little bit that you're doing, like investigate what's happening, really check your leads, things like that. But anyway, that's my answer.
That's great. That's great. Thumbs up if you all understood what she said. Excellent. Excellent. Like you said, there are trends, and say things go in the direction you laid out some possibilities, and we don't know what the year is going. We haven't got crystal balls, but say things are growing, tighter, credit gets even more stringent. What's kind of the short list of actions that these folks should be preparing for in the coming months?
What I think people need to prepare for, or what I think they should be doing?
Both.
Okay, so I always prepare for a disaster. right? That's just my own personal operating
Yeah.
basis, and you know that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that, I only end up with an emergency.
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And
Yes.
probably going to end up with somewhere in between.
But what I find in the practices that I'm, the people I'm dealing with, there's a lot of wasted opportunity, right? Internally in the practice for new patients, for income, right? For production. That wasted opportunity is not necessarily monitored. Right. And it's okay because the numbers are being met. So nobody cares that we lost like, all this potatoes. When things get worse, and I actually do think they're going to get tighter before it, usually it gets worse before it gets better. It's not a big deal. And you don't have to have a bad attitude towards it. It just is what it is. Right. The good news is that dental practices are the most recession-proof.
Recession-proof and kind of bulletproof from an economy perspective, because people are
businesses, they're actually the number 2 recession-proof business in the United States.
Dental practice.
Dental practice. Wow. Sorry, I didn't know if you guys knew that. Number 1 is funeral homes. Right? No matter what happens, they're going to be fine, right? Sure. But the things that you're monitoring, like really monitoring your leads, right? And I'm not just talking about somebody writing down what leads are coming in. I'm talking about actively managing that, looking at it, listening to the phone calls, going through the day and naming who are we going to ask referrals from today, for example. What kind of opportunities? We're so good at taking a look at what opportunities do we have in sales. Right. That's usually the first thing that you handle when you come to MG is like tighten up on your sales opportunities. Right.
Right.
We sit down and we coordinate the sales internally. And then at the end of the day, we review how we did, or we review it the next day. Right. Well, why not do the same thing with new patients? Like really start taking a look at that. Ultimately, that stat's going to go up proportionate to you paying attention to it. And paying attention to it is not how many new patients did we get. Right. But really creating it.
Right. Yeah.
Is what I think.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Anything else you think from right now that should be prepared? Add marketing channels, add marketing budget. What are your thoughts on these kind of things?
I'm very aggressive with marketing. You know that.
Yeah.
Right. When you go into a time period where you're going to get less approvals, for example, you're going to want to do more marketing. And that's not just external marketing, that's internal marketing as well. And that also includes talking to your patients, things like that. You need to get more opportunities to sell patients if you want to keep your numbers the same.
Yep.
That's new patients, existing patients, and new patients. External marketing isn't your only channel. Would I increase my marketing budget? Well, we run our marketing budgets on percentages, and it's an aggressive percentage.
Right. There's a running normal everyday, this is the everyday usual, and then there's the you're in expansion phase or you're in a prepare phase.
Correct.
Can you talk on those percentages?
Yes, I can. So we actually had a client that, and I'm just going to tell you guys what happened. So last year we had a client that opened a practice down here, and he wasn't here. And he asked us as a favor, which we did, can you guys just kind of set it up for me? We did it, and that included the marketing. And this really was a practice that was a nothing practice. Like all insurance was a bit of a mess.
Plain Jane restorative.
Yeah. And it was doing about 30, 35 a month in collections monthly when he purchased it.
Okay.
I started out with a 20% marketing budget.
Great. So $7,000
in marketing immediately to get those numbers up. In the first month, they did over 200.
Wow.
Right. And that's and the new patients has just every time with that 200, I upped it again. And then it was 300 and I upped it again. And then it was 400 and I upped it again until now. And you know this because I talk to you about it and I review it all the time with you. They did how many did they get last month? 110 new patients.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is a practice with no insurance anymore. All the insurance was kicked out. So these are all fee-for-service patients.
That came on, it was insurance.
Yes, 100%.
$35,000 a month.
Yeah.
9 months later.
Yeah.
Fee for service.
$400 a month.
$400 a month.
Yeah. I am very aggressive with the marketing, not just external, but internal marketing too.
And you're doing all of that marketing. You assigned the Blumberg Digital to the digital marketing, and then you have some external with print marketing. Total spend marketing at this point? What would you say?
At this point, it was 24,000 last month.
24,000.
Yeah. So the print marketing didn't start till last month.
Oh, okay. So it hasn't even kicked in.
No, we just did the first.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
just did the first. So that's not part of that that 100 and
Gotcha.
whatever.
Okay, good.
Yes, because you guys are out of stuff you can do for me. I just already increased the budgets. I keep increasing the budgets, but you guys need to add services.
Yeah, okay, we'll work on that. Yeah, so but 24 grand, is that what you said, 24 grand?
Yeah.
Okay, so 20, how many of you would spend 24,000 to make 400? Raise your hand. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Good, we're gonna be talking about that because Sabri has been, kind of running this through us as a bit of a pilot. We'll be letting you know what we did. That's coming up at Owners Conference. How many of you are coming to Owners Conference? Put it in the chat.
Awesome.
Yeah, lots of you. Fantastic. Okay,
There
good.
was a question about.
Yeah, so what was the mix of types of marketing that was done? Digital, mailers, et cetera. So that was from Dr. Abernathy.
So what we started with is we started with reactivation, right? Digital reactivation. We did that website thing that you do. I forgot what it's called.
Marketing platform.
Right. And we did PPC. And I think our budget was what to begin with, 1,500 a month. Alan, you're my go-to guy there.
3,000 for Google Ads. And then when you also had started an implant funnel shortly after with
That's right.
1,500 for Facebook.
That's right.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Okay. Good.
That's where we started. So it started with a mix of those things. But you have to understand, it wasn't just those things. It was also a lot of internal marketing that we did, because you can't expect when you hire a marketing company for it to produce the first month. Now we got patients of the pay-per-click, and we actually got some funnel patients off the implant funnel, but I wasn't expecting that.
Right. We bought some cover with the reactivation. The reactivation pumped pretty immediately.
Right. And the practice was in horrible condition. I mean, it looked like the 90s fault and they wanted their practice back, right? Like it was a bad looking practice. So all the workmen, the plumbers, the electricians, the painters, like all the workmen, they all became patients. Right. So we just patients, wrong phone number. Okay, I got it. You got a dentist.
Let's talk about that. I want to just talk about that because there's an opportunity. You're working with people. You've got vendor. Raise your hand if you all have vendors calling, trying to talk to the doctor. Raise your hand if you got that happening. Okay, good. You got vendors, you got people coming in, you got contractors and stuff. Can you talk about how you turn those people who want your business, who are there providing a service, they want your sales? How did you convert them into a
new patient? Well, it's interesting because I was over there overseeing it, so I actually did some of these myself, right?
Would love to see that.
It was fun. The plumber was real easy because he was missing a tooth.
Okay.
Right? So it's pretty obvious, like here, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, you're missing a tooth, right? You should really get that replaced. You're too young to be missing teeth.
Nice.
Right. He was, well, I'm in my 60s, blah, 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 blah. I said, yeah, but that may have been acceptable 30 years ago, but you're too, like, do you want to get that? Yeah, I saw a dentist going to be super expensive, blah, 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 blah.
I love your plumber voice.
Yes.
It's going to be super expensive. It's great.
Poor guy didn't really talk like that. Okay. Right?
Good.
I said, okay, well, why don't we do this? Do you have a dentist? No. Good. Well, why don't we get you scheduled for an exam, and why don't we have a doctor look at you, see what they have to say, and if this is really going to be difficult to replace, wouldn't you prefer to have your teeth?
And he said, of course, yes.
Of course, good. Then let's do it. Right. Let's get some more data.
Did you charge him for it?
For the exam?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
well, just a new patient exam.
Yeah.
Like we have a new patient special, so we just charge from the new patient special.
Great. Would you mind sharing with the folks what the new patient special is?
I mean, Alan probably knows better than I do what the new patient
Right,
special is.
right.
Alan, what's the new patient special in that practice?
I think it's 89 or something like that.
89,
might
99,
have
just
even upped
normal.
it, honestly. Yeah.
Great. Good. So that's that. That's for the suppliers and stuff. I think what we've just kind of identified, just to recap on what you've covered thus far, which I think is super valuable. You're going to have marketing channels. You're going to have a lot of them. You got to have somebody in the practice who's responsible for that flow.
So that's the most important point, right? Like a stat will go up because somebody is making it go up.
It's assigned to somebody.
It's assigned to somebody who's creating that stat, who's making it go up, right? They're always thinking with it.
And in a smaller practice where you're not going to have necessarily a single-hatted new patient coordinator or marketing person, where does that fall?
It really could fall anywhere.
Yeah.
It falls with the person that has the best personality to do that.
Okay.
Which hopefully is your receptionist or your front desk personnel. But if it's not, that's totally fine. Sometimes it's an assistant.
Right.
That's just great at it, very outgoing. It's easy for them to do.
Extroverted, everybody loves talking to them. They love talking to everybody.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I don't care where it goes. It's just a double hat. So wherever it fits.
And that double hat, call it a new patient coordinator?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yes.
Good.
Call it a new patient coordinator because
Right.
that's what they're doing, right?
Right.
And bonus them on it.
Right. And if they're fantastic at it, get them eventually replaced as an assistant and have them be that because they'd probably make an amazing new patient coordinator.
Absolutely. And it also has upward mobility for them. They have the opportunity to make more money. As an assistant, you're only going to make so much money.
Right. Right.
But if you have an admin position, right, that your bonus based upon your own productivity,
right.
that's so much better.
Yeah. And we've got interesting. So Dr. Dill had just gone through, and I know he's got Jordan here. Jordan just joined Dr. Dill and team as their new PR and marketing person.
That's fantastic.
She's sharp. We've done a lot of coordination and stuff. And once they've got a general orientation of new patient coordination, then they move into the PR and marketing. We've got some training specifically for that.
Yes, here at MGE. Absolutely.
Can you talk on that? Of like, so what is that? Upward mobility is obviously going to be, you're now raging and you're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
How do we build that person up from an MGE perspective?
Well, our philosophy is that you train somebody, you give them control.
Yeah.
The training specifically for a PR and marketing person is we do the basic communication training because you have to be able to communicate with people.
Yeah.
And then there is an actual PR course that they do. And there is a marketing course that they do.
Right.
So we have courses at MGE that are not part of the Power program. We could only put so much on a Power program, right? Out of before it became just ridiculously long.
Somebody could be here for 4 years.
That's exactly right.
So this is specific training for that specific.
Yeah, marketing mastery.
Yeah.
The PR course, which is actually a fascinating course and is the only course that we deliver where you're actually studying, everything we do is based upon Hubbard.
Yeah.
This is not. This is a recommended, if you want to do this, Hubbard recommended this other textbook, and that's what you're studying on the marketing course. And it's a fascinating study. I loved it. And then there's an internship you do at the end to make sure that everything's implemented. You're getting reviews, the referral line is cranking, and you're not just reliant upon incoming patients, right? A control over a statistic can't be, I'm waiting for the phone to ring. That's not control over a statistic. Right. You have to be able to predict where your number is going to be at, and you have to be able to control that.
Right. What actions are you going to do? What dials are you turning to bring about that?
That's exactly right.
Great.
That's exactly right.
Somebody wants to do that. Who should they reach out to talk to? PR and marketing training?
Dennis or Mike can help with them. Yeah. Or talk to your Power Client manager.
Yeah.
Personally, because it's so important, I would always have a PR and marketing person.
Right. Especially with what might be coming, all the more reason why you should.
Somebody to control that. And under that person's control is also the whole reactivation area. So the job of the PR person or the person in charge of your Division 6 is not just to get new patients, it's also to create goodwill in the area and also to keep your active patients active. So there's multiple functions there.
Love it. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, good. So some of the questions. Okay, say somebody's going into financial issues and they have an inclination to dial down their marketing. What are your thoughts?
It's a sure way to commit suicide, as far as I'm concerned, right? So if I'm running into marketing issues, I would call people that I know I'm going to have to pay, my labs, my supplies, things like that.
Financial issues, if things get a bit tight financially.
Yeah, and I would probably see like, hey, work out some kind of payment plan with them. Right. And I put all my money into marketing right now. That's personally what I would do.
And just juice it.
Yeah, because how else are you going to get out of it, right? You're just going to contract more and more and more until you cease to exist. It's also a clear violation of the emergency condition.
Right.
Right, where step one's promote.
Fantastic. Okay, another question that came in on how to transition out of insurances and what you need to do with marketing and your front desk. We had a couple clients that just said, woo, I'm getting out of insurances, but they didn't prepare. Internally, their team got rocked and rattled. So, we're big proponents of, listen, stop being strangled by your insurance company. So quick steps to consider. If somebody wants to get out of insurances, or at least some certain insurances, the preparation steps, could you just touch on those in a quick fashion? Yeah.
First of all, make sure that your staff knows what you're doing and is prepared to answer those questions from patients, because you're going to get questions from patients. Right. The easiest thing that I usually do is I divide it into 3 different piles. Okay. I divide it into my absolute garbage insurances, my garbage insurances, and Delta, right? Which is its own pile of garbage.
Absolute garbage. Just garbage, and then
Delta.
Right.
So those are your 3 levels of insurances that I do.
Okay.
You make sure that you do tons of reactivation before you do this so that your active patients are active. right? You make sure that you crank your new patients up and that line is working so that you have new patients coming in. And then you drop pile one, right? Now, the thing that I would do, and the thing that I did in this practice, because what was great about this practice is I just kind of got to do whatever the hell I wanted to, which is great. And also try different things.
Sure.
Like what would happen if you do this?
Right.
So what I did is you can bring anything you want to up to private fee, right? So I brought all the dentistry up to private fee, but the private fee for all the hygiene visits I kept in the insurance company's usual and customary range. And the reason why I did that is so that there would be no copay on insurances. So as far as the patients were concerned, nothing changed.
Right.
And when it came time to do dentistry, we needed to sit down, or they needed to sit down and handle them anyway. And it was just seamless. I don't think they lost one patient. And it was done in 3 months, like pile one, pile two, Delta up. And the only thing they have left is Premier because it pays private fees.
Okay, good. So the preparation inside, get the team on.
Get the team on board, make sure your marketing's tight, make sure your staff is trained, make sure your sales line's functioning, make sure you have lots of hygiene and reactivation. It's just the usual things we recommend.
Beautiful.
Right?
Folks, how's this going? Thumbs up if you're enjoying this and learning. Great. Going through the questions here. If you feel as though insurances were dropped prematurely, do you go back and network temporarily and drum up business, or stay out and ramp up training?
That's a good question. So, the toothpaste kind of out of the tube, right? At that point in time. So like, it's over, you're out, right? So congratulations on having nerves of steel to do something like that. I didn't.
Right.
And I think it's okay to do it over a couple of months. But if you really want to do that, or you already did that, the only choice you now have is to go very heavy on outflow to your existing patient base, like very heavy on outflow to your existing patient base. And with that, I don't just mean digital reactivation, like get on the phone and get everybody that you possibly can get back into practice, get them back into practice.
Yes.
Make sure that your staff is not blowing off patients for saying like, oh yeah, we no longer take your insurance. Or if they think they're out of network, that means that they're no longer accepting their insurance. Let them know, no, nothing has changed. You just come in for your cleanings. Everything's the same as it used to be. If there's any change or any copay necessary from you because we're doing dentistry, we're going to discuss that with you, just like we've always done, and we're still going to accept your insurance.
Straight out of the videos in DDS Successful.
Exactly.
You guys, all those demonstration videos.
Just do it that way, right? And then go heavy, depending on the size of your patient base. I don't know who asked the question. That is a very important number, the size of your patient base, right? Like how many patients do you have? That's an important number.
And you're including active and inactive.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, the size of your patient base is a very important number. I'm always going to want to grow that patient base, keep it active while I'm growing it. Because the more I grow it and the more I outflow to it, the more money I'm going to make for the gross income senior data, right? First thing you guys learned at MGE. So if you already dropped all your insurances, go ahead and go hog wild on marketing at this point, both internal and external, meaning to your patient base. But, you don't have to wait just for marketing for new patients. It's interesting because a few years ago, we had this girl from a practice in Michigan, and they had been having highest ever production, collection, and new patient, like month after month after month after month, right? And it was this big deal. And they were going for their 5th month in a row, and they had production and collection, so they didn't have new patients. They had like 2 days left, and they needed another 30 new patients to make highest ever. So what does this lady do? Well, she takes that new patient questionnaire that you get at the new patient course, the survey questions, and she goes out on the street with a clipboard, and she starts asking people, like, hi, I'm doing community service. I work at Dr. Bloody-Blah's office, right? Would you mind participating? She would ask them the questions. And at the end of it, she would ask, do you have a dentist? And if they said, no, I don't have a dentist, she said, okay, well, come with me. Let's get you an exam. And she would just route them right into the practice. And she routed 17 people in, right? And I think 15 or something sticked as actual patients who just blew off. So the point is, she just got really creative. You don't have to wait for you. This is what I'm saying. That stat has to belong to somebody. You can always make that stat go up if you have somebody creative that's willing to take responsibility for it.
Got into motion.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting this. I'm just saying she did.
That's what she did.
Yeah.
Because she owned.
She owned that stat and she wasn't going to be down stat.
A couple good questions coming in. Would you follow these same steps for a specialty practice versus a general practice, such as a periodontal office or a prost?
Oh, that's an interesting question because it depends, right? So that depends on how you're practicing. So if you're a prosthodontist practicing only pros, right, your marketing is going to have to be tailored towards you. But again, there are lots of people. You can always gear your marketing towards bigger cases and accept new patients. You can even do new patient specials the same way regular dentists do and just refer to dentists the stuff that you don't do. You can do the same with the periodontist. I mean, how many patients, new patients are periodontically involved when they first come in? Ridiculous amounts.
7 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, something ridiculous, right? So you take care of that, you do the implants, things like that, send them to a dentist or to your referral sources for the dentistry.
Yeah, and then we also help our clients that have, if they're really focusing on the two separate publics, direct public and their referring dentists, surveys to both.
Yes.
Surveying their existing referral points and potential referral points, really finding out what they need in a referring dentist and expanding that.
Correct. But I would always, and this is just my own, and maybe it might be off into the weeds here a little bit, but I'll say it quickly. If I'm a specialist, I would not depend upon referral sources because when things get tight, they stop referring. Right. And you also don't want to be beholden to another person. You don't like that model at all.
And the trend, I mean, with, notwithstanding like, okay, maybe an endodontist, where majority.
Well, yeah, that's different.
But the trend is so many.
You're not going to market, do you need a root canal?
Right. Do you need a root canal? I don't even know what that is. Yeah. But most general dentists are now expanding, their offerings. And so they're holding on to patients and such. So the referral scene is less active.
Yeah, but I've also seen it where at like the referring dentist, like I had this dentist from Pennsylvania, right? And you guys have to understand, I've been doing a long time. So I've seen everything possible, right? But I've seen this happen a few times where I had a specialist that was a good guy or girl that had their one main referral source. That's where they were getting the most of their new patients. And that person was like, as we say, where I come from, a prick. And they would go
Where you come from?
Yes. Right. And this person, this dentist would go completely PTS.
I see.
To this referral source. So I just wouldn't build the guy almost had him on a leash and I just hate it. So you just get out of that.
Sure.
Like slowly but surely.
Yeah, right. Don't cut the faucet off.
No.
Without building your other lines.
Right.
Yeah, good.
That's exactly right.
Good. All right. You stated still advise patients that we still take their insurance because the only thing that would possibly change is their copay amount. But with Delta Dental, they actually reimburse the patient directly.
Yes.
So the patient has to pay out of pocket first.
Yes.
And their insurance send them a check.
Yes.
How would we word it properly in order for the patient not to feel like we lied if we said we take their insurance?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So you can say you take your insurance, you pay up front here, right? And then your insurance reimburses you directly. But that's also why we wait last with Delta.
Yeah.
Right? Delta is a specialized case. They have figured out how to do this for maximum damage.
Right.
If you let them go, right? But yeah, you cannot accept assignment. But I'll tell you something interesting. I knew that when that practice dropped Delta, I was just kind of, okay, everybody get your flak jackets on. We're dropping Delta. Get ready. Let's see what happens, right? Delta just continued to pay. You out of network, which is
an oddity.
Ridiculous, and it's not the first time I've heard this.
Right. Don't bank on it.
Don't bank on it, but for whatever reason, maybe Delta's admin's not as good as we would hope it is. Right?
Well, listen, we could go on. These are great questions, everybody. Thank you so much. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes of why everybody came here predominantly, which is internal marketing.
Fine.
So I would love it if you could first just talk back of everything. The importance of internal, we do at Blumberg Digital, we do very effective external marketing strategies, but we're sitting here today because internal, I surveyed at the last webinar, I said, how many of you like your internal referrals more than you like any other types of new patients? And everybody raised their hands. And we all know why.
Yes.
People are sold on the practice, might not be sold on their treatment plan, but they're sold on the practice. That person comes almost as an ambassador to the practice, even though they haven't stepped foot number one in through the door. So what's your view about internal, the importance, and then some of the key actions that you think folks should be considering and how to do it?
As I said, first thing first, somebody in charge.
Assign someone.
Yeah, somebody in charge of this. And then, well, what kind of internal marketing can you do right? Well, obviously we started with your digital reactivation.
Yes.
But we didn't just, and Alan, you can chime in here anytime because you ran all of this. So you're probably more conversant with this, but I know we changed the message.
Yes.
So we went from,
We haven't seen you in a while to
Yeah.
people 8 months or longer out of the practice.
but it was more than that. We went from come in for your cleaning, and then we went have a free consultation, and then we went use your benefits at the end of the year. So you can do any message you want to, and we switched that campaign every few weeks.
Right.
There was a different message. So every time it just kind of started to slow down, we switched it and we just got the next. And I think we even did an implant thing on there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you missing teeth? Are you interested in a free implant consult?
Right.
And then we got a bunch from there, and
Right.
we did an Invisalign something. So you can do whatever the hell you want to with that.
Existing patients, we just got them another message and just lots of communication to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about referrals. My number one favorite part of referrals is family members. That is my favorite part of referrals. And if you guys have sat with me, which a lot of you guys have sat with me at MG or we've spoken, you will know that the average household in the United States has 3 people in it.
Okay.
And these are the actual numbers. Like, I'm not making this stuff up. 40% of the United States has a dentist.
Okay. 40% does not have.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is like 41-39. I mean,
Sure.
work with me here,
Yeah.
right? and 20% has seen a dentist in the last 2 years, but does not consider that they have a dentist.
Oh, okay.
Right. So 60% are up for grabs.
Right.
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 So if you take a look at that, the average household has 3 people in it. You can say, yeah, but I have a lot of family members. Well, the DS that come in, like, I have whole families, right? Because I hear them like, so that's a lot of people you could be scheduling.
Sure.
Like, just by asking, hey, who do you have in your house that's not seeing a dentist?
Right.
Right. And my husband, my mom, whoever lives with you, say, good, can you schedule an appointment for him? Can you get him on the phone? How do we do this?
Right.
Right. Like, let's get this person scheduled.
Lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, lowest hanging fruit, very easy to do. When I was on the front desk of a dental practice, I used to schedule 30, 40 new patients a month just doing that. That was super easy.
And where would that happen? So it would be, hey, someone's calling to confirm or this or that.
Well, usually during checkout, I check them out.
Mhm.
You know, you're issuing their walking statement, you're doing your thing, and you're just kind of BSing with them and say, hey, just, I'm curious, do you have anybody in your house that doesn't see a dentist right now? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. They don't want to come. They haven't gone for a while, but whatever. And say, good, I really want to get these people scheduled. Well, they don't want to go, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I understand, right? There's a lot of stuff I don't want to do, but we have to do it anyway, right?
Right.
Sooner or later, he's going to have to go. So it might as well before it's a disaster. So let's get him scheduled. So how do we do this? Can you schedule for him? Would he show up if you scheduled for him? Or would she show up? Or do we get him on the phone and just kind of gang up on him? How do we do this?
Great question.
Yeah.
How do we do this? You're giving the
Yes.
problem kind of that person and let them
They
come back.
also know the family member. They know
Sure.
the best way to do it.
Sure.
Right. And then we just schedule the person. So that's easy. But what I hear sometimes when I say that to clients is like, well, yeah, but I have a lot of family members. Clients don't really talk like this. Like, you don't.
Sure.
Well, when the DSOs actually did a survey of this, they found that dentist databases are somewhere in the 70s, like somewhere from 72 to 79% unique, which means that 72 to 79% of a dentist database, they only have one member of the household.
Oh, wow.
So there's a tremendous amount of potential referrals.
Wow.
And if we just take your most uptone patient each day, right, the one that you find easiest to talk to, the one that loves
Happy
you,
to see when they walk through the door, right?
and you just ask that person, like, listen, we're a family practice. I'm so happy you're here, but we want to service your entire family. We feel dental care should be available to everybody. Not everybody's using it.
Right.
But we're going to handle your family at least because
Right.
you're in front of me.
Right.
So we're going to schedule your family members that don't have dentists. Who you got? Right.
Right. And you could even drop that datum. You could even say like 2 out of 5 people don't go to a dentist routinely.
That's exactly right.
We were shocked when we heard that statistic.
Yes.
You got anybody in your family?
Yes.
Right.
And they're going to have somebody. And even if you schedule one a day, right, and you're open 20 days a month, that's an extra 20 new patients a month, and that's easy peasy.
How many of you want another 20 patients a month? Raise your hand. Okay, good. Now, how many of are you feeling like, oh, that's valuable? We have room for improvement on that. Like, meaning you could do this better. Raise your hand if you just learned something or you think you could do it better. Great. So that's internal.
That's internal, but there's
Step
a
one.
lot more things you
That's-
can do internal.
That's step one. Take your existing best, great patients, and ask them for family members. So what's next?
So the next thing is your next most fruitful source, easiest source is every new patient that calls in.
Yeah.
There's a chance they have other people that need to be scheduled. So usually we'd ask them, say, hey, we're very happy to have you as a patient. Right? Anybody else in your house that needs to be a patient here? And seeing if there's anybody else they would like to schedule. Like, yeah, I might as well make an appointment for my husband at this point. Usually from new patients, when you're scheduling them, especially when you're talking to them,
Sure.
and they're saying to just move to the area or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, they usually didn't move alone. Well, sometimes they do, but
Sure.
very often they don't. Schedule the whole family and just let them know it's a private practice. So the time is reserved for you specifically, because the chance you're taking when you're doing that is if they cancel, you end up with these huge openings on your schedule. It's traumatic. You just have to let them know this is a private practice. We reserve the time for you specifically. So this appointment is firm. It's confirmed. We'll call you to remind you if it's next week, right?
Yeah.
But this is your appointment. We got a deal on that one because I'm blocking off a lot of time for you and your family.
Right.
So usually you would just let them know that you're doing that and don't screw me.
I have a question for everybody here. I'm reading your feedback. So a lot of people saying it's really valuable. How many of you would like to see Sabri handle me as a patient calling in to do that? I know I didn't want to ask. Ring.
Okay. ABC Dental, can I help you?
Yeah, I just had a bad experience at another practice I was at. They said I needed a bunch of work. I don't have insurance. I was just curious if you guys could do an assessment. I was told I need 4 crowns. Yeah, I just like to get a second opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's okay. We'll take all your personal information and things like that.
And what's going on?
What's going on, blah, blah, blah. Do you have x-rays? If so, bring them, stuff like that.
Great.
Now, honestly, Dan, if it's somebody that's already like that, I'm probably at that point in time, like just as a point of judgment, not to be an asshole, I'm probably not going to do that right now. Right? It just doesn't seem appropriate.
Good. All right. Well, then let's do this. Hey, I just moved to the area and yeah, I just got a job here.
I love it.
Don't know where I am really even, but I did Google you. You're about, a 12-minute walk from me. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you picked us. Yeah. Good. So let's get you scheduled. And I ask all the usual questions. And when I do a new patient intake form, when I recommend a new patient intake form, I recommend you get enough data so you know how to schedule that patient properly. So I'm going to want to know things like, when was the last time you went to the dentist? At that time, did the dentist say you needed anything? Right. Just so we have a little bit of this, anything specifically you're concerned about. Okay. So I'm going to want to get a little bit of a gauge for what kind of new patient am I getting in so I can use for doctor time appropriately.
Beautiful.
Right? When I schedule this patient and I have enough sales time with you. Yeah. And then at the end say, Dan, did you move alone or did you move with the family?
Oh, no, it's my wife and my kid. We're both here. Or all 3 of us, yeah.
Okay, good. Do they need dentists as well?
Normally my wife handles that. So, I mean, yes, eventually that's kind of like you're going to be her call. I got that pain that I told you about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm jumping the gate a bit here. Normally it'd be my wife setting this all up.
We're totally going to take care of you.
Okay.
Would your wife be upset if you scheduled her appointment at the same time? Do you know her schedule?
I mean, she doesn't really have one. She's just kind of getting started here. We're going to find her a job here. And
is she with you?
She's in the next room.
You want to ask her?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, ask her.
Okay.
That's the way I would handle it.
It's control.
Yeah. Well, it's a conversation.
It's conversation, but you're also controlling the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. So here's my observation. It was conversational. It was friendly. It was caring.
Yes.
It wasn't salesy.
No.
It was like from the heart.
Yes.
Like you're just making it easier for me. Of course, there's the opportunity, but it's oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Oh yeah, she's right here.
Yeah. Well, usually I have a policy to say whatever I'm thinking. You know that, like the filter was removed.
Yeah.
Right. But then you're speaking from what you really want to know. And I think that's the best kind of conversation. If you're just saying, what do you want to know? What's interesting to you? Just say it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And it works.
So we've talked about vendors and suppliers. We've talked about existing patients, new movers and anybody calling to schedule. What else can we do? And I've heard this a lot, obviously at the new patient workshop, not so much with our clients, but I've heard this a lot. Who's supposed to ask for the new patient? And how do you ask them without sounding like you're desperate? That's what I hear a lot at the new patient workshop. We don't ask our patients. We hand them cards just in case they find somebody. people do with those cards?
Oh, that's an interesting question, right? So just so we're not sound desperate,
Yeah.
right? So we already know that 20% of the population are garbage people.
Right.
Right. Or they're not garbage people. I need to say that
They're
nicely.
trouble.
They're trouble. They have trouble and they are trouble.
Right.
Right. So they're not people that we want to deal with as patients. They need other help.
They need aspirin.
They need something, right? They don't need us,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Because they're going to be trouble. Usually when somebody is saying, well, I don't want to sound desperate, that's the same thing as a salesperson saying, I don't want to say prices because they're going to think they're too high or that I'm money motivated or whatever. They've run into one of these 20%ers. And that person has done a good job introverting them.
Right.
Right. Because what power does a person have over you? They have no power over you.
Right.
Right. The only power they have over you is to get you to introvert yourself. That's the only power people have over you.
Right.
So now you stop talking. Now you're not dangerous. Good boy, good boy. So that's where
So I asked somebody for a referral and the person said, yeah, do you have anybody? And the trouble person might say what? To back the person off and introvert them.
Why how bad are you guys doing that you need new patients?
Right.
Things like that.
Right.
Right. Okay. Well, good. So now that person has created an impression. If the other person doesn't recognize exactly what's happening, then, the solution usually becomes to stop talking or you don't feel good about asking anymore.
Right.
Versus just saying what's on your mind. If somebody says that to me, he says, no, I'm not desperate at all. And what a garbage thing to say.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
Not at all.
Right.
Right. But we actually do want families. We're a family practice. We want to service the community. And this is important to us.
Right.
Right. So you just say what you're thinking.
And get that. And so who should do it?
Your new patient coordinator should do it because they should answer all your new patient phone calls.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't have a new patient coordinator, then whoever's answering the phone should do it. If that person's not good at this, which is okay. Now, you don't have to be good at everything, but if they're not your best person, then have your new patient scheduled by the person that is good at it. Let's say the manager's great at it. Good. Then whenever a new patient calls, until you have a new patient coordinator, pass it along to the manager or whoever, because it's too expensive for them to get screwed up by somebody because they're not trained properly on how to do it or don't have that specific skill set right now. Doesn't mean you can't develop it. It's just they don't have it right now. That's all.
And then for existing patients and asking for referrals in the practice, just the routine patients that are coming through, who should do that?
Again, the new patient coordinator. But if you don't have somebody, I've seen it handled correctly different ways. I've seen it assigned to the person that was most suited to do that.
To that patient.
Right. And understood that the person who's most suited for it is going to be excited about doing that. You don't have somebody do something that they don't want to do. They're not going to do it.
Be their hygienist, could be their assistant.
Anybody, right? I don't care. Right. And create some kind of game for them.
Yep.
But the practice that I worked in years and years and years ago, it was just kind of a free-for-all. We didn't have a new patient coordinator, so we just kind of all did it. And it was just this game amongst the staff, like who could get the most. And I remember the receptionist answering the phone, scheduling wrong numbers. Like wrong numbers would call, like, oh, wait. Do you have a dentist? Right. Because it was just this game that was going on. So it doesn't really matter to me. And it is a little situational on what works best because we have large practice, small practices. They're all over the place.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good. How's this going, folks? Thumbs up. Enjoying learning? Fantastic. What else about internal that, get the team behind it? What sort of games? Anything else that you could share about internal marketing?
I get taken by surprise a lot by different ways people get new patients than they do internal marketing because it really is as limited as you are creative. There's so many people. If you don't believe there's people, go to the mall, go to Busch Gardens, go to Disney World. If you think there's a shortage of people, right? You will be disabused very quickly. There's a lot of people. There is no shortage of people that need your help. Now, how do you get to these people? That's different. That's different for different areas. I've seen people join, you have these Rotary groups. That can be productive if you set up alliances with people.
Sure.
Right. So they have businesses and they usually don't offer dental insurance.
Right.
So you say, okay, well, you know what? We will be your dental insurance plan. All your employees, we will give them, one flea cleaning a year and 20% off any major work or something like that. You are there. That can we stick that with send a memo to your staff? Then it works.
Sure.
right? And I've seen that work very well, where the practice became the dental insurance, and it was set up very similar to those membership plans, right? And they got a lot of new patients from that. If you're going to join the Rotary, just to talk about the Rotary, and I don't even know if it's called Rotary anymore.
Rotary,
I don't know how much you're gonna get off that, but whatever you do, you have to always keep in mind, I'm getting new patients, and not in a passive way. Actively getting new patients, not like I'm just going to let everybody know we're here and I'll just sit back and, the phone's going to ring and lots of people are going to call in. Like that, usually I don't see. But doing those internal actions coupled with good external marketing creates this thing, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I want to bring up about external marketing that I think is a really bad idea. I see clients when they pick external marketing, pick one thing.
And do only one thing.
They have all their eggs in one basket. Like, we're going to do pay-per-click. We're going to do SEO. And then Google does something or something happens, which invariably something's going to happen. It always does.
Yeah. Reliant upon one single channel rather than having multiple channels.
You want multiple channels, right? And you want to always create. And that has to be a combination between external and internal. And the more you have, the more new patients you're going to get. Okay, you didn't get anything off of pay-per-click this month.
Sure.
Who cares?
Right.
You
got these other channels.
You have all these other channels working, and I got 5 here, and I got 10 here, and I got 20 here, and I got 3 here, and you have all these channels producing, so that if one doesn't produce this month, it's not the end of the world. Who cares? And then you debug it, and then the following month that produces, and this one breaks, and then you fix this one. And it has to be a multitude of channels if you're going to be marketing. Because the subproduct to a new patient is a reach. So you're trying to get reaches, but you're not just trying to get them from one. Yeah.
Okay, person's going to say, I just don't have the money to add marketing channels because things are so slow. What's your advice?
You can always do it internal. You can always do some of the marketing we were talking about. That's free.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
There's gross income senior data. So I'm always going to market to my database. Existing patient. That's my number one thing because my income is tied to that. Right. So that these two statistics are tied. So I'm always going to want to do that kind of marketing.
And some examples would be, I mean, we talked about what we're doing with your digital reactivation, which we've gone over,
but also lots of phone calls, things like that, right?
And we talked about postcards, use it or lose it at the end of the year. Hey, it's
things
a new
like
year.
That.
Right.
You can do all kinds of stuff. If I had to pick one, I'd probably do pay-per-click. Like if I don't have money, I'd go see like a family member or somebody owed me a favor and borrow money. I go to the bank and take a loan.
Right? For a few months until it's kicking.
But I would get marketing money. I don't really care. You go get a loan if you have to. When we did this practice, this person only gave us like a certain amount of money and we had to pay the payroll and we had to pay
$35,000 a month. You didn't have like a whole lot of
when it's like, and here's your budget. I can tell you that more than 40% went into marketing. Right. And then nothing was a problem.
You only had to bite down for so long.
Well, for 2 weeks I had a bleeding ulcer and then I went, oh, this is going to be okay. Right. Yeah.
Okay, good. We got another question here. Any thoughts on how to work on getting more patients to show up for their appointment that have booked through a Facebook ad or implant consult? We work on sending reminders, text, email, call, but still show rate is like 10%.
I know that sucks. So it's interesting. And this is exactly why I asked this guy, will you allow me to do some of the things in this practice so that I can see the issues you guys are dealing with. And I'm going to have to figure out how to creatively overcome those things. Right. So I ran into the same problem, believe it or not, with these leads that were coming in. And what I did is, first of all, they're not allowed to schedule them or confirm them over text or email anymore. Like they do not get scheduled unless there's a live communication. And they get scheduled like a real new patient.
Like person to a person.
That's exactly right. Because it's too impersonal. It's too easy to screw somebody over that you don't know. You're not very real to the other person. You're just this nebulous, like, symbols on a computer. There's no real person there. I said, okay, well, this stops right now. What needs to happen is whoever's in charge of this, the person that was in charge of it, you need to talk to them and you need to schedule them and you need to do the new patient intake form with them and you need to treat them like a real bona fide new patient. And you need to let them know that this is a private office. This is not a clinic, which means we have reserved times. Now, obviously you need to say that a little bit friendlier, right? When you're talking to the patient. Can't do that, right? It's your appointment. Well, are you going to call and confirm it? No, this is the confirmation. I'll call and remind you if you want me to, but your appointment is confirmed. You're on the schedule. And then the other thing that I did is that the hygienist or the doctor, depending on who they are scheduled with, call them the day before to introduce themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how many there was 2 phone calls a day, 3
Right.
phone calls a day,
Right.
these kinds of leads. It's not a
Sure.
big deal. Hi, my name's Sabri. You're on my schedule tomorrow. I'll be your hygienist, right? And if you're leaving a message, just let them know. Hey, is there anything specific I need to know in order to service you better? Please give me a call back. Otherwise, I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Or if it's a live person, just ask them, I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow. Really looking forward to it. I'd like to give you a call, so I'm fully prepared. Is there anything you'd like me to know to make you more comfortable for your visit tomorrow? I don't give a damn what you say.
Sure.
You're just trying to get the hygienist or doctor real to the patient. And that handled the cancellation
Wow.
BS. That's the way I did it.
Nice one. What do y'all think about that? Thumbs up if you like that. That's great. Another question came in.
Yes.
Thoughts or examples on coordinating social media with your internal marketing?
Okay, so here comes confessions of Sabri.
Yeah.
I don't know crap about
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
I don't have a Facebook account, so I don't have anything.
I'll handle that
So
one.
what I did do is
Yeah.
I made some that there was a younger individual there that I thought might be familiar with this stuff, and I asked her, "Hey, can you do updates and posts?" And I know she does them all the time, right? So I know there's social media, but I honestly, this is one area of the organization I don't know anything about.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'll cover that, and we're gonna probably bring up tying in effective social media for the next webinar. Depends if you guys all vote for that one. Hey, what are your thoughts on educational session with current patients and bring a friend events?
Interesting. So this used to be really, really, really popular like 25 years ago to do this kind of stuff, especially for specialists,
Okay.
right? This was super popular to do these kinds of things. Were they effective? Yeah, they were. I never really had an affinity for it.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't do it. I mean, part of marketing is you get to do what you like and what excites you.
Yeah.
If this is something you want to try, please do it. I know this is things that it has worked.
Yeah.
And it does work. And it used to actually be something that was very popular a while ago.
Yeah. Well,
So-
it's interesting. We had, a couple of our clients that were doing an Invisalign sip and scan events.
Yeah,
Where they would, they'd invite people on Invisalign, bring in a couple friends for champagne and, some hors d'oeuvres and stuff, and kind of after hours, and everybody gets a free scan and some champagne and cheese. And some of them were knocking it out of the park with that.
Absolutely. So I've personally never done anything like it.
Yeah.
Or participated in anything like it,
Yeah.
but I've seen people do it and it does work. So, I mean, the amount of ways you can get new patients, I keep saying this, is only limited by your creativity.
Sure.
So as you do these things, you keep track of how effective it is. And if it is, make it part of like one of your lines. This is something I do, and I do it once a month. And I do want to say this, when you sit down and you do your planning at the beginning of the month, when you know how we say you need to do income planning and things like that, as you do your planning at the beginning of the month, make sure that you have a marketing calendar where you are also doing event planning, different events that you're doing. I had this one person, and I really love this. And I've done this. We used to have these health fairs, right? And you can do it anywhere. You can do it fairs, whatever.
Sure.
We used to have a free drawing for exam and x-rays. The game was get as many people to enter as possible, and they would. And then I would take them home and I'd call them all and tell them they won.
Right.
Right?
Everybody's a winner.
Everybody won. And I'd get like 25 new patients out of that.
Wow.
So like somebody might do that. Somebody might hate it, right? And the show-up rate was total garbage on these patients. I'm not going to say, so I'd schedule like 50 and 25 would show up. So you just double book them with hygiene and work them through. But again, whatever you can come up with, that's creative. Right. That's all.
And goes back to hence why you got to have somebody over this activity, because it takes that person creating and exploring.
Absolutely. And keeping track of that and creating new lines.
Putting that calendar out.
Yeah.
Tying in your social media posts and testimonials, reviews, asking for referrals.
Exactly.
Playing a
what
game
you do when.
Yeah, that's right. Playing a game internally. This person just got 2 referrals yesterday and name and fame at the morning production meeting.
Yes.
Some Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, good. All right. So I've got a couple other questions that I want to ask Sabri. What to do if your schedule is booked out for months? And is this good or is this not good? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So they're too booked. We've literally had some people saying, I don't know if I really want to keep marketing going because I'm so booked up. Of course, we tell our clients, the last thing you want to do is stop your marketing. Great that it's working so well, but never ever turn the volume
You
down.
need to figure out, like, there's different solutions to this. Now, you don't want to be booked out too far. You know that. And we've gone over that a lot at MGE, right? It's like no more than 3 days for a doctor. Hygiene can't be so far out booked. Usually the first thing that you can do is you can start putting new patients, slots dedicated for new patients in the hygiene schedule.
Yeah.
To kind of force openings for new patients. That's where you would start, but you're going to have to add hygiene days.
Right.
And if you are too busy as a doctor, you're going to have to add doctor days. And if you don't have enough space to do that, you can go ahead and give me a call. I can always figure this out. You can be creative about the way that we utilize the space or the way that we utilize the operatories.
This is the time to get with your power client manager.
Exactly.
And go, okay, good. It's a good problem, but it's a problem because, being booked out a month, 2 months, that's bad news bears.
Right. Yeah. And the one thing that you can't do is you can't stay level. Can't say I'm doing as much as I want to do. Right? Because what you're doing is you're cannibalizing your existing patient base. If you're not adding new patients, meaning you're eating up the bigger treatment in your patient base as these patients are rotating through hygiene.
And the end of that road is
you have a cleaner hygiene and now you become new patient dependent. And that's a bad situation because your new patient closing percentage is always going to be lower than on existing patients. There's acquisition cost. It's a mess. You don't want to do that. You're starting your practice from scratch every month. So you have to add names to your database and you have to expand your hygiene. You can't just cannibalize what I have. And, I have so much that it's not a good thing.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Great. New patients have shared that they read our Google reviews and then called to make an appointment as a new patient. What is the best strategy based on your experience to collect maximum of it without being looked at as too pushy to existing patients? Okay, so they're obviously talking about,
getting Google
reviews and without looking too pushy. Some staff members showed hesitation to ask after first hygiene appointment. Before Sabri gives you your thoughts on this, I'm going to tell you right now, and everybody look at the chat. If you have had patients coming in recently saying, oh, one of the reasons I'm here, or maybe they don't even say one of the reasons I'm here, I read your Google reviews, put it in the chat right now, me. Everybody look at the chat right now. Google reviews are more important today than they ever have been. Those of you that have slowed down on your Google reviews, you got up there and we do this huge thing to teach them how to get 15 reviews every week. And we have a whole tutorial and account managers watch it and stuff. Our game is to become the most reviewed practice in their area.
No, I think that's great. And I am, we hear that too.
Yeah. So but then sometimes we're the most reviewed practice in the area and they stop. Google is watching, like what's your total review number, not only what your review rating is, but how many are you adding and how frequently you are adding them. Mm-hmm. This is actually the most important out of these three to Google. How frequently are you adding reviews? So do not slow down. Now, question is how to ask them and how on board your team should be. They don't want to feel pushy. I think it ties in a little bit with this thing you said earlier about this person who's, I asked somebody and they got all torqued. Oh, are you trying to buy reviews with me or whatever? And that could back somebody off.
Right. Totally. And as I said, you're always going to have your lower tone people, right? I mean, how do you get it? Assign it to somebody and make it a game. To reward them for it, give them gift cards, public cards, gas cards, right? So how do you get something in is you make it a thing. When you first saw that bump of Google reviews, I bet you anything, they were making it a thing. They were talking about it in their morning meeting. They were making sure it was happening. If it's not happening, it's why not? Yep. And all that stuff. Yep. And then we have a lot. This is no longer a problem. And they stopped doing that. They're no longer making it a thing. And then it goes like a bad souffle. You want to make sure you continue to make it a thing.
Right. So I'm going to give you some tips and suggestions. We got some great tips in the chat. Wow. So you don't have the link to the review tutorial. Good. I'm going to make that in the webinar recording. Just got to make sure this, Michelle and everybody, we're going to put the whole link to the tutorial on how to ask for Google reviews. But it is simply this. Everybody watch close. Sabri, how'd it go today?
Great.
Good. Good. You keep coming back to us, so we must be doing something, right?
You are.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Can I ask what we do better or different than other dental practices you've been to in the past? I saw on your chart that you've been to other practices.
Yeah. You're friendly. You're friendly and you don't hurt me, and I love your hygienist.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. We love our hygienists too. Well, I'm glad you feel that way. Reason I'm asking you is that today, consumers out there, they don't trust necessarily what a business says about themselves. They trust what other people say about a business.
You want a review? I don't mind at all.
That'd be great. I got a QR code here.
Yeah,
All you got to do is scan it with your phone and whatever, just share whatever the same kind of words you just mentioned to me.
sure.
Good. She does it now. Say she's a little busy. So would you mind taking 2 minutes and sharing those same kind of words you just mentioned to me in an online review?
Oh, God, I got to run. No, of course I'm going to do it, but I got to run.
Okay, good. No problem. Listen, that said, we're playing a game. If we get 10 reviews of patients in the office in a week, doctor gets us all Starbucks on Monday. We're so close. It'll take 2 minutes. I'll make it fast.
Okay.
good.
Yeah, help me out here.
So that's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The other thing, and don't make it weird. If she's like, dude, did you hear me? I got to go. Cool. I'm going to shoot you a link. So that's that. For your team, change it up because I saw a lot of you put in the game, 15 reviews get you, or 10 reviews get you Starbucks on Monday. And you played that game for 8 weeks. And then people are kind of like, well, Starbucks, whatever. Change it up. Make it, pizza on Monday. Set a target. Set an actual number target. So you're at 120 reviews. Your target is 300. When you hit 300, movie and pizza for the whole office.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Bonuses, cash.
Cash
Yeah.
goes a long way.
Yeah.
And then for the patients, when they leave a review, let them know, okay, good, we're going to put you, hey, Sabri, thanks for that review.
Mhm.
We're going to put your name in this bowl right here. And then, every 2 weeks we draw out, free electric toothbrush and stuff. And I just want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then we put that basket at reception with a big bow and some plastic cellophane around it.
Yeah.
And it with the big button says, ask us how you can win me.
Yeah.
So when people come in, they say, well, how do you win that basket?
Yeah.
And say, oh yeah, well, you just, pull your name out of this bowl right here. We pull a name out of here every 2 weeks. How do you get your name in the bowl? You're happy with the service?
Yeah.
Just scan the QR code here and leave a review
Yeah.
and let us know. And then, we put your
That's a
name.
great idea.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we got tons of these. Thumbs up if that helps you. Thumbs up. Oh, we got a bunch of stuff that came in. Okay. We offer our staff an incentive for getting their name mentioned in a review. Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Having a QR code for your office that links to your Google review page is also, we can help you set that up. You guys can go set that up. Go to mygoogleqrcode.com. That's the page that I had created, mygoogleqrcode.com. That will create your Google QR code. You just put your name, first name, last name, your email, what's your position in the practice, and then the name of your practice as it appears in Google. That's going to generate a QR code and email it to you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So mygoogleqrcode.com, and that will help you create that. I like the idea of their name mentioned, but are they rewarded? Is that against HIPAA? Not against HIPAA. If the patient originates it, the patient can say whatever they want about themselves
Yeah.
and their case and their experience. What could you say about it?
Nothing.
Nothing. Fire in your questions. We're going to get as many of them as we can. Had a few bubbly patients make video reviews in office, 3 in the past 2 weeks. Reviews are awesome. The testimonials are amazing.
They really are.
So we will show you how to use those. They are great for social media. You want to upload them to your Google business profile.
Yeah.
You can downgrade the quality. Some people say, well, you can't put a video in your Google business profile. Oh, you can. We'll show you how. You got to downgrade the quality a little bit. It's got to be under 50 megabytes. We'll show you how to do that. We got video editor team that can do that. Get that in your Google business profile. Dr. Nakarmi
Yes.
had he sent us a video. We edited it. It was like $200 per guy who said, oh my God, it's the most painless dentistry I ever had in my life. We uploaded it to his Google business profile. He said he's made $150,000
Oh, that's amazing.
from that one video.
Yeah.
Patients go, oh my gosh, that's where I want to go. So keep that up, Dr. Abernathy. Good job. Do you have any feedback about Yelp? I do. I can't say it publicly. I told you how I feel about Yelp. Listen, as a person, I use the app. I'm a Yelper. In Texas, I'll go. In Texas, I'll go search out some barbecue using Yelp. As a business platform for business reviews, I think they're nasty.
Not just that. I'm just going to say something because I used to hear this a lot, right? And you guys have to understand my biggest value is that I talk to all of you, so I hear what's going on with all of you.
Okay.
Yelp used to be a huge thing. I'd at least hear about it once every few months. Somebody would complain and Yelp and this and that, right?
Yeah.
So rare that I even hear the word anymore. I didn't even realize it's still a thing.
Yeah.
So Yelp, it's kind of taking itself out with its own nastiness. I think everybody's kind of
people who are avid Yelpers, of which, listen, I'm an avid positive reviewer because I just know how much it means to a business. But Yelpers typically are known to be a little bit more critical and vocal.
Yeah, and I'm sure you go over the thing with them when you go over your whole review.
Yeah.
Heading, bad review. You want bad reviews.
Yeah, that's right. So 33% of people don't trust a business that doesn't have negative reviews. That said, if you are in a Yelp sensitive area, LA, San Diego, Bay Area, Houston, Dallas, Chicago, tri-state, any like major metropolitan area, Tampa, Miami, yeah, you need to be aware of Yelp. And I'm going to tell you all this. I'm going to say this right now. We've got Alex here and Amy are here. We will do an in-depth review of what we call your reputation analysis. We'll do a reputation analysis and a marketing analysis. All you have to do is let us know. You're going to have to send that to amy@blumbergdigital.com and or alex@blumbergdigital.com. We'll do a free reputation analysis. We'll go through all your reputation. That's Yelp, Google, your online reputation, and we'll go through your marketing if you need help. We'll go through your marketing channels, make a suggestion what you should do next, look at where you're spending money, tell you what we think about it. That's absolutely free, no obligation. There's no hook. Just let them know. That's amy@blumbergdigital.com or alex@blumbergdigital.com. We'll do that. Folks, it was an absolute pleasure. Everybody give a round of applause for Sabri, our special guest.
I had fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being
Yes,
here.
no,
It was really,
thank
really
you for
cool. And we will see you at the next Blumberg Digital webinar. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.